great. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Danielle Inez. I'm Chief of Staff to Mayor Lee Harris. I'm joined today by Andre Gibson, who's the Strategic Coordinator for the Chief Administrative Office, and he's also the Co-Administrator of our beautiful Comeback Part 1 and Part 2, as well as Ms. Carolyn Malone, who runs our Mayor's Action Center, which is the department that processes each and every grant application that is a part of, that goes through this program. I'm happy to have all of you all join us today for this walkthrough of the Our Beautiful Comeback grant application, specifically for independent contractors. As you may know, a couple of months ago, we debuted the Our Beautiful Comeback grant for business owners who work in close contact personal service industries. And we gave away about $750,000 of a $1 million fund so far through that program. Since then, we've sought ways to expand that program, and our reasoning is pretty straightforward. It's because beauticians, barbers, nail technicians, etc., are some of the most relied upon professionals in our community. The industry as a whole is one of our top employers, sustaining families in every community across our county. And at the same time, we expect that over half of adults in our community are going to seek at least one haircut, color, braid appointment, manicure, eyebrow threading, or some such at least one time this year. But when COVID-19 forced this industry to close because we needed to slow the spread of the virus and protect the public's health, this industry was amongst the hardest hit. There's no such thing as drive-through barbering or a manicure delivery service. And your routine clients who were coming through to get chopped every 2 weeks, they couldn't show up when you reopened for 4 haircuts. They only got 1. And the rest of that money was just lost during the shutdown. At the same time, when your industry was allowed to reopen, we implored you to think creatively about how you do business. So we required that you retrofit your booths to accommodate social distancing, that you limit the number of people in the waiting areas, that you sanitize in between clients, which in a way might slow you down, and that you add the new expense of PPE to make sure that it's available to those who walk through your doors for service. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion, as well as in the opinion of the mayor and the health department. But I want to take a moment and I want to stress how important it is that we continue the course. Earlier this morning, our office received a notification that's now been made to the public that we had 404 new cases in the last 24 hours. If these numbers continue to trend that way, we will have no choice but to take more aggressive measures, because we have to make sure that our hospitals can serve the residents who are ill and who need them. So that means that we need you guys to do your part by demanding that your clients sit through the minor inconvenience of wearing a mask the entire time that they're being serviced. We need you to continue to limit walk-up appointments and prioritize scheduled appointments so that you can control the number of people in the shop. We also need you to treat social distancing as a mandatory intervention so that when people are at your shampoo bowls, under the dryer, or just walking from station to station, that they remain at least 6 feet apart from other individuals who are not in their household. When we have 2 or more cases that are tracked back to your shop, there's a risk that your shop might be closed for up to 2 weeks because of the necessity of quarantining and isolation, et cetera, to help make sure that we slow the spread. And so if we all do our part, wear masks, social distance, limit crowds of individuals in a closed environment, then we can all continue to move as close to whatever our new normal will be as possible. So enough of that. Today, we're going to try to offer a little bit of relief to as many of you as we possibly can. We have a $500 grant that's now available to independent contractors who work in salon environments. Employees are not eligible. Employees will not be eligible at any point during this process. It is for independent contractors that work in the beauty services industries. You're eligible for a $500 grant. The grant does not have to be repaid to the county. It is a grant, not a loan, as long as you are in compliance with the health department's guidelines for close contact personal service businesses. I mentioned Andre at the top of this, and he is the co-administrator of this grant. And so he is going to walk you guys through the grant application in a moment. That application can be found by going to covid19.shelbycountytn.gov. We'll drop the link in the chat box in a moment. And if you have any questions as he does the walkthrough, or if you have any questions at the conclusion of the walkthrough, just use the little Q&A little widget that you see on your screen to submit your question. I'll be going through those questions at the end to make sure that we can answer as many of those as we can. One last thing before I hand it off to Andre, you guys, we want to give away this money. We have about $247,000. And so that means that we can help just shy of 500 independent contractors. So we don't want to just help those that are able to join us here for this walkthrough. Please share this blessing with other people that you know in the industry. Over the next 2 weeks, my goal is to expend these funds, but it's going to rely on you all helping us to get the word out. And so that's why we're here. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Andre, and he will do the walkthrough.
All right, good afternoon, folks. As Chief Inez said, my name is Andre Gibson, Strategic Affairs Coordinator for Shelby County Government in the Chief Administrator's Office. I'm going to walk you through the application for our beautiful Comeback 2. What you're seeing now on your screen is the COVID-19 update page for Shelby County. That can be found at covid19.shelbycountytn.gov. Like Chief mentioned, we're going to put that in the chat for you later, but this is what the homepage looks like. You're going to come down to these tabs here. These are all our COVID-19 related information and grant applications. We're looking for OBC II, our beautiful Comeback 2 for barbers, cosmetologists. Once you click in there, you'll see there's a very simple grant form here, application form that has 3 parts. The first page is general information about the applicant itself, the independent contractor that's filling out this application. So information like your name, home address, telephone number, and email address. The purpose of this, we want to ensure that you are a Shelby County resident and that you are not only working but living in Shelby County. We move on to the next page. It's going to be information about your qualifications as an independent contractor. So the first question asks you what type of professional license you have. The majority of you that are going to be applying for this program are either barbers or cosmetologists of some sort, and those options are covered up there. Professional license number is a required field. We use that to track down and look up your professional license, whether it's a barber license, master barber license, cosmetologist license for nail, or cosmetologist license for hair, so on and so forth. We do ask you the name of the licensed salon, licensed by the state, salon or barbershop where you work. That's just to ensure that, again, that you're an independent contractor in a regulated environment that's a shop or a salon that receives regular state inspections. Finally, on this page, we're asking you a couple questions related to COVID-19 compliance. Will you ensure that you follow all social distancing guidelines until the Shelby County Health Department lifts relevant health directives? Will you ensure that you follow sanitation guidelines until the Shelby County Health Department lifts relevant health directives? And the last question, have you applied for other COVID-19 related small business grants? The first 2 questions are obvious. They're intended to indicate your compliance with health regulations, social distancing, sanitizing, and so forth. And the last question is just a question for our purposes. Having received other COVID-19 related small business grants won't affect your eligibility for this program. It's just something that we want to keep track of. I'm going to move on to the third page. This page is where you're going to provide a little bit of supplemental information. It's going to require you to do some uploading, either of photos or of scanned PDFs. As you see, there's a little bit of instruction here. Grant funds limited and only distributed to complete and accurate applications. So it's very important that we get these uploaded submissions correct and that we fill out the submissions in a proper way. So the first one, please upload a scan or photo of the front side of your driver's license or state ID. Very simple. We want to verify that you are who you say you are. Give us a snapshot of the front of your ID so we can see your face, your birth date, your address, make sure that we can verify that information with your application. The second piece of information that we're requesting, please upload a scan or photo of your active professional barber or cosmetology license. I think that's also straightforward with the purpose of this program. You have obviously either a barber or cosmetology license from the state of Tennessee. We want to see a copy of it to make sure that it's active and that that we can verify that you're active professionally. The third item, please upload a copy of your booth rent agreement or a similar legally binding document. That's the way we prove that you're an independent contractor as opposed to an employee of a salon or a shop. We want to make sure that you are working for yourself. You may have a booth rent agreement with the shop owner. You may have a salon suite. You may have some type of agreement that allows you to occupy a space as an independent contractor. This is what we want to see in this space. In lieu of that, if you don't have that type of lease or the type of document available to you to upload, we will accept a notarized letter to that effect. My name is blah, blah, blah. I work at the space at this address, and I certify that I am an independent contractor at this business, notarized and uploaded. We will accept that in lieu of a lease agreement. And then finally, most importantly, is where we see a lot of errors being made, is to please complete and upload a hand-signed, dated IRS Form W-9. We're not asking for your tax returns. I want to make that clear at the beginning. We're not asking for your tax returns or your Form 1040 or anything from previous year's taxes that you filed. This is a form that identifies you as an independent contractor for our purposes, and you fill it out with couple simple pieces of information about yourself or your business, and then your social security number or electronic or employer identification number, although in most cases it would be the social security number that you'd be filling out this form with. Make sure you don't use both of those fields. That's a place where a lot of people get tripped up. They use both their social security number and their EIN number. I'm sorry, I'm talking about this form and I can pull up a copy. This is what it looks like. Name, business name, you could leave it off. Type of business, address, city, very straightforward information up top. And then here, social security number or EIN. Go ahead and put your social if that's the easiest way to get it done, just advice. And then you'll definitely need to make sure it's signed and dated. We've seen a lot of people get tripped up on that. Let me get out of here. Pardon me for a second. And now back to the application. I apologize. The last part of the application that is very important is we ask you to provide an estimate of the financial loss that you've incurred since March 25th, which was the day that we first had a health directive that caused close personal service businesses to shut down. We're asking you to put in here an estimate of what the financial impact to your business was. Could be small, it could be enormous, but we do want you to take an honest guess here, and then we give you space to provide additional comments. The last thing in here is a fairly standard grant agreement language between the applicant and Shelby County, just allowing you to affirm that all the information that you provided in this application is correct, and that you will, upon disbursement of these funds, that you will spend these funds within 90 days or before the end of the 90 days or before the end of the year, whichever comes first, and that Shelby County does have the right at any point in the next, I think, 5 years to request receipts of how these funds were spent, just to ensure that you spent them in an eligible manner. And you will click to acknowledge this statement, and you will click to receive an email copy of your submission. And with that, you can click submit your application and have it go off to be reviewed by the Mayor's Action Center, Carolyn's folks. That is a brief overview of our grant application. I'm sure there are going to be some questions in once we get to the Q&A portion, but I wanted to give you that brief overview. Thank you.
Awesome job, Andre. And I'll just tell you guys that we did a very similar walkthrough for business owners when we first rolled out this grant, and Andre did that walkthrough as well. And now he's looking like a pro at it. So thank you. We really appreciate that. I have one question in the Q&A, and so I'm going to give you guys a moment. If you have any questions that are unique to you, go ahead and drop those questions in the Q&A. We're not going to announce the individual, so you can ask whatever question you feel compelled to ask. We'll just answer the question live in case other people might have that question too. In the meantime, while we wait on a couple more questions, Ms. Carolyn, I wanted to go to you and just see if he mentioned some common pitfalls with the W-9 form. But if there are additional recommendations that you can think of to help ensure that people are successful, if you could just take a moment and just kind of briefly go through a few of those, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I'm going to start with the W-9 mainly because that's the one that we get mostly that citizens are failing to actually put the right information. Just be mindful, like Andre stated, don't use your social security number and your EIN number. Those have been the most of the downfalls on the our beautiful comeback. Also, when you're uploading your documents, make sure that you are seeing that your documents are uploaded on the application. We're finding that, Andre, I may be wrong with saying this, but most of the ones that are coming in with the document uploaded wrong is usually from the cell phones. So do you prefer that they actually do it on the actual computer or iPad? Because the cell phones seem to be somehow the documents are coming in 3 or 4 of the same document where you haven't downloaded them in the right manner. So just be real careful with that. I know we all use our cell phones a lot, but I think using a computer at home or a desk computer or a laptop is a better way of putting the application in.
Yeah, I would second that statement. In the preferable way to submit these uploads would be to scan the documents and upload them traditionally through a computer. Although to be accommodating, we are wanting to allow you the option of taking a photo with your phone or your tablet and uploading them. But it's very important if you use that option that you make sure that the photo that you take of the document is legible, that you capture the full document in the photo, top to bottom. Don't kind of crop it or leave anything cut out. Make sure everything is legible and everything can be read by our folks that are having to review these applications.
Right. And the only other thing I would say is that the difference in the professional license and the business license, we're getting several individuals that are actually sending their business license, it's not their professional license. So just make sure you're sending your professional license, not the business license, because we'll need to know that you do hair or you're a barber or you do nails, not that you're an owner of the shop. Even though you can be the owner and you can also do hair, we need to see the professional license.
Correct. Yeah. Make sure you don't upload your county or your state business license, just your professional barber, cosmetologist, esthetician, nail license.
Okay. That's about all I have.
All right, thanks, Ms. Carolyn. All right, so we're going to go through a few of these questions. The first one is simply, are makeup artists not eligible for this grant? Andre, do you want to take that on?
I believe that we cover makeup artists that are licensed as estheticians through the state. So if you are a licensed cosmetologist, an esthetician, yeah, you are very much eligible for this program. Please apply.
Yes, but to the person asking the question, if you are, for example, a self-taught makeup artist or something like that, does not carry a professional license, then no, you would not be eligible. But estheticians absolutely are welcome to apply, like Andre said. The next question is, click done. I put in an application, but I put the wrong address. How do I correct that? This question to you, Ms. Carolyn.
Okay, you're gonna have to go back in and do a whole new application. Are you saying you put in, are they saying they put in the address wrong on the actual application?
Yes, and I think Ms. Patterson might have reached out directly. I saw your question this afternoon. You just might not have gotten our response yet. Yeah, unfortunately, the way our application system is set up with a wrong address in the application, once it's submitted, there's really not a way for us to get in and edit that particular field. So what we ask you to do is just go in, put in another application. As you can see, it's fairly short, it's fairly straightforward. It won't take you a long time to put another one in. And we made it that way on purpose, but we don't have the ability to edit that. And what we want to avoid is your application being approved and your check being sent to the wrong address. So as soon as you can, get in, go ahead and submit another application with the correct information.
All right, this person mentioned that they have submitted their application 4 times, and they have been rejected all 4 times. They didn't ask a specific question. They just told us that, but they seem to be concerned about what they are doing wrong.
I'll be glad to speak to this person offline about this about their applications. I know that it'll be helpful if you do call in or email in. Those emails you gotten with the rejection should have had listed a reason why your application was rejected. If you'll just have that handy and give me a call or an email, and we'll walk through and see what went wrong.
Yeah, and what I want to add to that, because we get that a lot, and I fully understand that it can be a very frustrating process because of the quantity of applications, which I'm actually going to address in one of the questions that I see here in a moment. Because of the quantity of applications, it is not possible for our office to merge various applications together into one. So if in one application you do not include your driver's license, and so you get flagged for that, and then your next application, you only focus on uploading the driver's license, but you fail to upload the W-9. We cannot blend those 2 applications together so that you have a complete package. So that means that you run the risk of receiving a denial for a driver's license in the first one and a denial for a W-9 in the second one. It really requires, this process really requires that that the applicant takes ownership of submitting all of the required and accurate information, ensuring that everything is spelled correctly, ensuring that all names match, that the license is active, that the address matches on your driver's license and your application and your W-9 in this case. It's just very important that you go through that tedious process on the front end so that you only have to apply 1 time. So just keep that in mind. And that gets me to another question that I'm looking at here. Someone asked about the number of, someone asked about the number of applications that were approved, as well as the status of grants being distributed. I actually got this from Andre before the call. As of last Friday, we have distributed about 425 awards, 358 to business owners and 73 to independent contractors. So somewhere in that number. And that's the number that had been approved. And we typically get the checks out in the mail within 48 hours after approval. So it's not a long process from approval to getting a check in the mail to the end recipient at all. And that's Ms. Carolyn's office working very closely with our finance office here at Shelby County Government. They made the decision early on to keep that process in-house so that they can make sure that they expedited these checks and got them to the people in need as soon as possible. And so far, we've been able to do that. In terms of the percent of applicants that are approved, because a great number of applicants do apply and reapply, it will be very difficult for me to try to guesstimate how many applications or how many applicants are approved. Someone asked the question of, I hope that answers your question. If you have any more, just submit them. Someone asked, what could prevent you from getting a grant? I think we could all offer a few reasons. I'll start with some basic ones and then I'll hand it off to Andre. You have to both live and work in Shelby County. So that is a basic one that would render a person ineligible. I mentioned at the top of this that employees are not eligible. So these are for individuals that are, for lack of a better definition, of 1099 independent contractors for these businesses. That's another one that comes to mind that would render you ineligible. If you owe business taxes, to the state and or county, I believe, you are ineligible to receive the grant. We've had individuals who received a denial because of $25 that they owe in taxes. Luckily, they would go and just pay the $25 so that they can get the check, but you do have to go through that process first. Andre, do you have any more that you want to add? And then we can go to Ms. Carolyn.
Yes, the one that I mentioned earlier that's fairly strong in the rejection category is the W-9 form. We've gotten a lot, maybe a section is blank. The top section is blank with the name, business name and address field. The section 2 where you fill in either your social security number or EIN. We have a lot of people that are doing both, and our finance department can't accept that. And then the other big thing is just making sure that W-9 form is signed and dated, hand signed and dated. We can tell when you type it in on your phone. We like to see a signature, even if it's a finger signature like at the grocery store, but it's got to be hand signed and dated. Those are the big ones with the W-9. How about you, Carolyn? What are you seeing?
Also, your professional license have to be updated. It cannot be expired. We see a lot of those that you've been expired for about a year. So make sure your license not expired. We don't accept them if the license are expired, professional license expired.
All right, thank you. This next question, I think I can assist with. They said, I received the first grant. Am I eligible for Our Beautiful Comeback 2? I'm both the owner of a salon suite and I'm a hairdresser there. Yes. And so if you own a brick and mortar location, which salon suites actually fall in a very unique category, but we honored that as a part of the Our Beautiful Comeback grant program. But yes, you remain eligible. Our belief is that if you have the expenses of a brick and mortar location, you have additional expenses and additional loss that's related to the fact that your clientele serves as an additional stream of income for you and your family, and you experience loss and new expenses there as well. And so we honor that and welcome both business owners who continue to work in the industry. We welcome you to apply both times as long as the funds are available. I think that answered the next person's question, which was, is this different? The industry that we're serving is the same. The difference is that one was specifically for brick and mortar business owners, and this one is specifically for independent contractors that work in a brick and mortar location. So hopefully that answers your question. This next one I will hand off to you, Ms. Carolyn. Can I use my business tax license for proof that I work as a cosmetologist?
No, you cannot. You have to have your professional license. Because you can own the business, but you're not an actual hairdresser or nail tech or what have you. So you have to have your professional license.
Yep. All right. How can I check to see if I'm approved? I think this is probably the most annoying thing about the process for you guys. And for that, I'm sorry. I like to say that no news is generally good news. It generally means that you have a check that is in process. We send instant information when there's a denial. So as soon as you're denied, you receive instant notification of that, because if it's something that you can resolve, we want you to have an opportunity to resolve it as quickly as possible while funds are available. For those who are approved, your acknowledgement or notice that you have been approved comes in the form of a check in the mail. And so for some people, because of just where your application process fell, that can take a week or sometimes up to 2 weeks for you to fully be processed, but that's very, very rare. Generally, it's just a few days for you to be processed, and then 3 to 5 business days for you to actually receive your check in the mail. But that's how you find out. You open your mailbox and you get a check. And there have been instances where people have called me trying to get a status update at the same time they're walking to their mailbox. And as I explain that process to them, they cut me off and say, "Girl, I just opened my mailbox and it's here." And that's how they find out. If you have a payment arrangement, do you still not qualify? Andre, do you want to take that on?
If you have a payment arrangement, then your taxes are considered they are not considered to be delinquent. You have an arrangement with the trustee's office or with the state, and your current in their eyes, so you're current in our eyes. The only issue that we have is if you are absolutely delinquent in your tax obligation.
Yep. And the last question that I see here is, do I upload my lease instead of a booth rental agreement?
Yes, that will be acceptable. Very much so. It's proof that you are occupying a space as a business owner, as an independent contractor, not working as an employee receiving a W-2 from another person's business.
All right, so that so far is all of the questions. We'll give you about 30 seconds if you have any additional questions to go ahead and quickly type those questions in so that we can address them. You guys, like I said at the beginning, we have about 500 more grants that we can distribute through this program. And again, we want to get those out. Well, we do have one more question. We'll get to that in a moment. But we want to get those funds out over the next 2 weeks. So, don't let this just be a blessing for you and your business and your family. Please share the information, share the link. We put it in the chat box, covid19.shelbycountyn.gov. Share that with other people that work in the industry. It's open to beauticians, to barbers, to nail technicians, to massage therapists, to estheticians, anybody that works in this industry in a close contact service providing role that involves a professional license. In order for them to perform a service, they are eligible to receive this $500 grant to help them overcome some of their new expenses related to the additional sanitization and PPE requirements of COVID-19. Our last question is, will the business check, so this is related to Our Beautiful Comeback, the first rendition, will the business owner check be mailed to the Salon address?
The short answer for that is most likely the checks are mailed to the address as you fill it out on the IRS Form W-9. So we encourage you for the other program, sorry for the confusion here, but for the other program, for the business owner program, we do encourage you to fill that the Form W-9 out with the business information up top. So in that case, the answer is yes, but the more precise answer is that the checks are mailed to the address that you fill out in the W-9 form.
Yep, exactly. So any final thoughts from you, Ms. Carolyn? You're on mute.
Sorry, let me get off mute first. No, I think we covered pretty much everything that actually comes in. If I think of something else while I'm sleeping tonight, I'll let you know for now. So far, no.
Late.
Too late, right? No,
Thank you, Carolyn. Your team, she has a very small but mighty team that has really been processing these grant applications, not just for this grant, but for all of our public interest grants that Shelby County Government is doing for area businesses in multiple industries. So your team is doing a phenomenal job. So thank you for that. And thank you for making yourself available today.
No problem.
And Andre, any last words from you?
I'll just reiterate what you said earlier, that we really want to get these funds out to businesses. We try to make this application streamlined and easy to fill out. There is some information that we have to ask for, that we have to have uploaded, and that we know that's an extra step, a few extra steps sometimes, but it's just the minimum that we had to ask for to be in compliance with the federal government where we got these funds from. We've rejected a few applications, but that's just because we want to make sure the information that we have on hand is correct. And that's probably why some of you are here. So please apply again, just follow the prompts, make sure you're uploading things in the right place, make sure you're filling things out in the right place, and we want to get you a check.
Thank you, Andre. And like I said at the beginning, Andre is the co-administrator of Our Beautiful Comeback 1 and 2. He really did most of the legwork for the Our Beautiful Comeback 2 grant. In addition to that, he's been working on supporting some of our other grants that we have, including our Share the Tab grant for businesses in the restaurant industry. And that one is almost done. And so thank you, Andre, for your hard work.
If I would say one more thing, I would say don't wait. You reminded me of that when you mentioned Share the Tab. These funds are first come, first serve. And if somebody gets in front of you and gets the last one, than they got the last one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I will just reiterate what I said at the beginning. You guys, COVID-19 is real. It has a strong hold on our community right now, and we all have to do our part. That's why this grant is near and dear to me. I just got my braids done this weekend. I wore a mask the whole time. My hair braider wore her mask the whole time. We had no other guests in her small studio while she worked. It's just really important that we all do our part. It was hot wearing a mask for hours, but it's worthwhile to keep her safe, to keep me safe, and keep our family safe when we return home. So please do your part. Encourage your clients to do their part as well. Our health department is making rounds, visiting locations to make sure that these businesses are in compliance. And we want to make sure that your businesses are able to remain open and continue to serve clients, continue to support your family by bringing in income and continuing to support the community at large that wants our hair done, our nails done, our eyebrows threaded, etc. So with that, we will conclude. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us this Monday afternoon. We wish you all the best, and we wish you much success in your applications for our beautiful Comeback 2. You guys have a great day.